Ready?
Yep, we're recording.
Yep, recording.
Okay, well, we'll get started then. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It's great to see your faces. Just want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about our return to play plan and specifically golf. And so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, I'm getting a pop-up here, Seth, that says host disabled participant screen sharing.
So maybe make Nate co-host, and that
Yep,
usually
I
will
will
do the
just
trick.
go ahead and make you host right now.
Yep, I got the same thing there.
There you go.
It's so you can't share anything inappropriate, Corey.
Right. It's probably a good move. I'm the king of memes. I love me some memes.
Okay, can you guys see the Sony website up?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I just want to start by showing you guys some of the resources that we have available on our website right now. And this is going to be an ongoing process for us to update. And I'm going to just kind of show you what we have right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the decision to return to play and give you guys just kind of some big picture and things to expect, not only about golf, but all the sports that we're looking at. And then I'm going to let Dave talk specifically about our golf event on August 2nd. So on June 17th, we received information from Special Olympics International that programs were being, it was basically the recommendation was that programs return to play on July 1st and to do so in steps. And so we had already had discussions with our program committee about return to play, about fall games, which is the next big event that we have on our calendar. And we were already really kind of feeling that if we were to have any event, golf was really the one that we felt comfortable, to be able to play, or we at least felt that there was a possibility. The other sports, we just felt we wouldn't be ready, whether we were talking about crowd size or, resources, information that we would need to give the coaches and teams with a limited amount of time to practice and prepare. There are different categories of risk for all of the sports that we offer, and golf is considered low risk. We felt like golf was the best opportunity to ease back into participation in our program. And even though it, affects a small sample of our overall population, we felt that it would be a great first opportunity for competition. And we're also going to open up the opportunity to practice in certain sports for our other athletes that miss seeing their teammates, miss seeing their friends and really need that activity again. And we have spent a lot of time over the last couple of months reaching out to different coaches, HODs, our athlete leaders, and trying to gather input about what people wanted. And we really found that the majority of people really did miss the opportunity to participate in our program. So we wanted to try to offer something if we could. And so we made the decision last week to go ahead and return to play on July 1 with golf being our first event. So this page, if you were to go to our home page, you would see a banner right on the front that talks about return to play. It's also under the Who We Are tab down at the bottom, return to play info page. And so here it talks about all the different resources that we have and the different things that you guys are going to need to get started with practice. So I'm going to show you a couple things. First, I want to show you let's see if I can get it here, code of conduct. Just one second, here we go. Okay, so this is something that all athletes and volunteers will need to sign. It is a participant code of conduct and risk assessment form. And so this is something you'll need to do either prior to your first practice or at your first practice with everybody that's associated with your team. And really, it just kind of helps reiterate the importance of being safe, the different things that we need to do, and, kind of puts us all in the honor system. If someone's not feeling well, if they're displaying symptoms, it's best to stay home and not take that risk. And certainly anybody that does not feel comfortable should not participate. We will still be here when the time comes that they do feel comfortable. We want to be very respectful of everybody's feelings about the pandemic and everything that's going on. And so I'm not going to go through this point by point, but this is on that page. It is the participant code of conduct form. You can download it. It is a fillable form that can be done online. If it's easier and you would like us to mail you copies of any of this stuff, we can do that too. You just need to let me know, and Taylor from our office can send you any paperwork that you need. Okay, so basically you're going to check the different boxes and go ahead and sign. If the person has a guardian, then the guardian can sign on their behalf. Okay, so that's one document that I wanted to point out. Let's see here. So the next thing I want to show you is the screening and tracking report. Okay, so first I want to tell you that when we return to play, we are in phase 1. Okay, so right now today we're phase 0. We're not participating in activity within our program. On July 1st, we're moving to phase 1, which is to participate in activities with no more than 10 participants. Okay, and so that will be a challenge depending on the size of your team. And so you're gonna have to really think about how to, to do practices, how to get everybody involved that you would like to. And our requirement from Special International is that we are not to spend less than 2 weeks in any one phase. So we do not have a date yet that we will move to phase 2. It will happen before our golf event on August 2nd. We are currently putting together our return to play overall plan, and it'll go in front of our program committee a week from Thursday. And then the following Tuesday at our Specialist Nebraska board meeting, we will get final approval. And that plan is going to incorporate not only what we're doing this next month and in the immediate future, but for the rest of this year. And it's an outline basically that, talks about all the events, all the sports, everything that we're doing. Our plan will be implemented in phases. It will be sport specific, and the individual practice plans will be based on each team's individual needs and desires. And so we will move to phase 2 at some point prior to August 2nd. Not sure of the exact date. We'll have that out to you as soon as we make that decision with our board. Now, phase 3 would be, we have no restriction in terms of number of people. This likely is not going to happen until either we have a vaccination or our state has really just moved to the point where it is safe to be in those large groups. So our competitions are likely going to look much different for the foreseeable future until we get to that phase, okay? So July 1st, we'll move on to phase 1, okay? I also have at the bottom here just some symptoms and different information related to COVID for your athletes. Encourage them to take a look at our page. This link here that talks about help during the crisis, this takes you to a link on Special Olympics International's website. And let me find that page for you. Where did it go? Right here. So there's a lot of information available for athletes, coaches, families, information about COVID. So people are, more than free to go ahead and take a look here, take a look at anything that they would like. There's information related to fitness, if that's something you're interested in incorporating into your practices, knowing that people have been off for as long as they have. Just take a look at this stuff anytime you'd like. Let me know if you have questions, and we'll be happy to, talk to any athletes, any family members, any parents that have questions or wondering, things they need to do to stay safe. Okay, so I want to show you another document. Okay, screening and tracking template for Special Olympics activities. So as a coach, one of the things that you'll need to do in addition to getting to everybody to sign that code of conduct prior to that first practice is before each activity, meaning each practice, and we'll do this before the event as well, we need to screen those that are participating in that practice. And so the screening protocol involves these questions right here. You know, in the last 14 days, if you had contact with someone who's been sick with COVID-19, have you had a fever in the last week higher than 100.4? Do you have a cough and or difficulty breathing? Do you have any other signs or symptoms of COVID-19? And so there's a document that is on the next page that you can use to document this information. So you can write down their name, whether they're an athlete, a unified partner, a volunteer, their contact information, whether or not they've signed that code of conduct, have they been screened, and do they display any signs or symptoms of COVID, yes or no? Now, this form actually was updated today, so you're going to see a slightly different version of this form on our website tomorrow, in which these screening questions are actually listed on this form in their own column, so you can actually write the answers to those questions right on this form. So it's very similar, it just has an opportunity to answer each specific question. Now, with regards to taking temperatures, we are not requiring that you take the temperature when they arrive to practice. If you want to do so, you can. You'll just need to make sure that you have a thermometer that can be used by going over the forehead. That way we minimize, you know, personal contact, okay? Now, what you can do is you can ask that person to take their temperature at home before they leave, and then they would come to you at practice and tell you what that temperature was, and then you would write that down, okay? And that's what we will probably do when we get to our event on August 2nd, and we'll talk again closer to the event about details regarding the event and anything that we need to do. Kind of have a coaches meeting, essentially. We'll do it via Zoom as we get closer to that event, okay? So basically, as a coach, you do have a responsibility to screen the volunteer assistants that you have with you, the athletes, and the unified partners. And so you'll keep this documentation. We can mail you copies of this. We can email you an attachment, or you can download it off of our website. Whatever you would prefer, we're happy to do. Just let me know, and we'll make sure to get you that information. And like I said, this form has a slight update to it that will be on the website tomorrow. Okay. So that's another document I wanted to bring attention to. Let's see here. Now this here is also on the website. There is a link to COVID-19 e-learning course. Okay, so if anybody wants to take as training specific to COVID-19, we have an online learning portal. And so you can follow these directions to set up an account and take that training, which is free of charge. And so this is something that you can pass information on to your athletes, to their families, to your coaches. Anybody that would like to take a look at this information is more than welcome to. Okay, and so this is all right there on the website with instructions on what to do. Let's see here, what am I missing? So what questions do you guys have about some of the bigger picture stuff? Tomorrow we will have listed on this page the sports that we are approving practice for and the sports that we are not. Golf is obviously approved to practice starting Wednesday. The sports that are not approved are our team sports. We're not ready yet to approve sports like flag football, sports that would be going on this fall like softball. We are approving sports like bocce, like bowling. We're looking very closely at how we can conduct a bowling event this fall, since we normally have unified bowling in the fall. So Dave and I are talking and looking into that right now. But what questions can I answer for you guys before Dave talks specifically about golf?
This participant code of conduct form, is that only for the athletes unified partners, or is there one for coaches, volunteers as well?
It's for everyone, Carrie.
Okay.
Yep, all of your volunteers, athletes, and partners.
Got it.
This
And
is
like I said-
Heather. I'm curious if our requirement for practices are 10 or less. If I've got tee times set up, and if I only let so many people on tee times, you know, that we wouldn't all gather any more than that, can I have the whole team kind of come and go as their tee time comes and goes, so that we wouldn't have more than 10 people gathered at any time? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And that's what I would encourage you to do, Heather, with the size
Good.
of your team.
Good.
And that's kind of similar to what we will do at our event.
Perfect.
At that point, we will be, looking at, phase 2 where we're going up to 50, and it's fairly possible that we will have more than 50 participants in the event. So we will spread out each group so that we don't go in excess of that. So I would just keep each group less than 10 and kind of stagger their start as
Perfect.
best you can.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. My boys have participated in some NJGT golf tournaments, and they just have really good restrictions about you can't arrive more than 15 minutes before your tee time. You can't linger at the course after your tee time, and that just kind of keeps from that gathering happening. So that's what I was thinking of doing for practice.
Absolutely. And I would stress social distancing and the need and the importance of doing that. We are requiring that everyone is wearing a mask when they're not actively engaged in exercise or activity.
Yeah.
I know that is a challenge, but that is one of the SOI recommendations.
When you say activity, so as soon as they head out to the golf course, when they're golfing, they don't have to have it on, correct?
That's correct, right.
Okay.
As soon as they get that golf in their
They should
hands,
arrive wearing it, and then once we head out, because they've distanced and everything.
Yeah.
right. Right.
Honestly, I think I'll have a harder time with parents than I will the athletes themselves with the gathering and all that.
It is a challenge. I just speaking from my personal experience, I coach baseball and softball, and we started up a couple of weeks ago, and I coach young kids, but we had certain rules that we needed to follow, and the first practice went really well. I was actually quite surprised at how well everyone did, and I've noticed with each practice, and it's through no one's fault, but people do start to kind of
Get a little more lax.
They start to revert to what they were doing. And I've got to really prompt the kids and the families to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just doing it because they're getting back into it, and they're having fun, and they're
Right.
participating, and it's nobody's blatantly trying
Being
to
kids.
not
Yeah.
follow the rules. So I think you're just gonna have to do the best you can to educate and keep everyone safe. You are able to use team funds if you want to purchase a thermometer, if you want to purchase hand sanitizer, if you need anything that you that you want to keep people safe, that is fine. And let us know if we can help you find the right products or whatever you might need. If people need masks and you want to provide them for them, we can use team funds to do that as well. We will bring masks to the event on August 2nd. But certainly people can wear their own when they arrive. But if not, if they don't have one, we will have masks, and we'll have hand sanitizer, and we'll have different volunteers on the course prepared to help with those things. So, and there's a lot that we still need to learn about how to run an event during the pandemic. But I think we're doing everything we can to learn from what other organizations are doing, what other states within Special Olympics are doing. And we feel like this is something that we can do, and it's a great opportunity to give our participants a chance to get back at it. Okay, so we can obviously ask questions later on too, but Dave, I'll let you go ahead and start talking specifically about golf.
Sure. Thanks, Nate. Well, it's nice to see everyone's face. Like Nate said, it's been a while since I've seen some of you guys, so it's good to see some familiar faces, even though we're not together. So a couple things we're shooting for. We're trying to be as cautious as possible, and kind of want to control this event as much as possible. So that's why we're only offering level 2 golf. I know we have some great level 3 golfers. I know we have a lot of skills people. A couple of years ago, we went to that 3-hole thing that worked really well. But I think, as we had a lot of internal discussions about what might be the best thing to start with, we went with level 2 because we have the most teams. People that did play level 3 can go down. Mm-hmm. Some that were doing the 3-hole might be able to go up. It's unfortunate that we're probably not going to get to offer something for everybody, but we figured if we did level 2, we could split the course into, you're either playing the front 9 or the back 9, so we kind of double the amount of people we can actually get on the course. We kind of figured we're shooting for about 36 teams, so that's 2 groups per hole for the 18 holes. So that's kind of another thing we came up with. We do want to still have a shotgun start. We figured we kind of talked about maybe we do every 7, 8, 10 minutes or whatever we have people tee off. We're going to be out there all day if we do that with this amount of teams. So we're going to try a shotgun start. Our goal is to, I know a lot of you have done tournaments where all those golf carts are just packed right on top of each other, and you get in there and you wait for the instructions. So our goal is coaches, athletes, HODs, volunteers. We're going to try and get all that information out the week of, whether it's another Zoom call, whether it's something that we record and we send emails out, so that we don't have people gathered around, and we can get those kind of carts spaced out so we can keep our athletes and everyone farther apart before we start. Another thing we're shooting for is the time to arrive. We're actually saying you can arrive an hour beforehand, and I talked to the course, and they will have driving range open. So we'll have the driving range. Obviously, those boxes are more than 6 feet apart, so we'll have our people 6 feet apart, and we're just going to need to encourage our athletes and people, if you're not hitting at that time, have your mask on, stay back, and then when you're done, go to your cart and head out to your hole. So we're ready to go. Pretty much everyone's going to have, someone's going to have a phone on them or a watch, so at 9 o'clock, that's the time we're teeing off. We don't have to all wait at the cart or wait at the clubhouse and then go out. So when you're ready, head out to your hole and just wait there. So we're kind of just keeping that social distance as much as possible also. A couple things. We will have a meal sign up. I've talked to the golf course. What they would do is they would just put a sack lunch in the golf cart ready to go in the morning. You just take that out with you. We will have volunteers drive the carts. So unlike in the last couple of years, we've allowed everyone to drive. We're going to go back to the old having to walk the course, because we can't have 2 people in the cart. So we're going to have our volunteer basically driving the clubs. Partner and athlete will be walking. I know in the past we've allowed medical exemptions. So this might be a year that this might be the year that we can't allow that, because we can't have someone in the cart with a volunteer, because you're going to be within 6 feet. So that's unfortunate, but we've kind of talked about it. We don't know what else to do. I talked to the golf course. You have to be 16 years of age at least and have a driver's license to drive the carts. So all of our volunteers will have to meet that criteria. Another reason for doing the 9-hole is if we're walking, it can be a very long day if we're allowing our athletes to do 18 holes. And you guys know the first week of August is generally pretty hot. So we'll have that shotgun start at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll be off the course by 12 before it starts getting really hot. When we send out the registration, if your athletes are behind in their medicals, we will work with you. We've talked with Special Olympics North America, and there's going to be a grace period for 6 months of basically the time the pandemic kind of started, because a lot of our athletes couldn't even get into their doctor to get that. So if any of your medicals are expiring within that 6 months, we will work with you and kind of give you a buffer, and North America's already cleared that. So we should be good on that part. Awards, we've kind of talked about how we're going to handle that. We're basically, once we've tallied the scores, this is in the beginning stages. What we're thinking is we'll have the awards on the table, and basically we'll just call you up. You can come get your award off of the table. That way you're not around anyone else, and then you can have your pictures taken wherever you guys normally would do that. But that way we don't have to have someone putting the award on them when we have that close contact anymore. And then we did talk about skills. If you guys wanted to have a skills competition like at one of your practices, we're kind of kicking around how that would work. We could send you awards for that. If we get enough people and we want to do it, maybe we can basically division across the state. We turn in scores later on, and then we tally everything up and tell you where your athletes would have finished, or you can do it just as your delegation if you would rather do that. Again, we're just trying to figure out the best way to get as most people involved and keep them safe. So we're kind of kicking around some different ideas. Any questions so far?
Okay,
and if questions,
so
go ahead, Carrie.
when would entries be due? And
Yep.
Yeah.
So I believe the 20th is on a Monday. Let me double check here. Yep. So July 20th. And a lot of these people that you're going to have probably sign up, I have scores from the last couple of years anyway. So I think divisioning I can use I know you guys aren't going to have your 8 weeks. You only have a couple rounds. I'm going to use that along with some just information from the coach saying, hey, they're shooting about here, but they're probably going to improve a little bit. Or I can use my scores from last year also to kind of look at those and kind of get divisions together.
Yeah, our issues will be anyone that decides to play up that had been doing 3-hole before, we won't have any
Sure.
scores.
Yep, I understand that. And so that's just good information. If you can maybe, when you send that in, maybe in the little note column, say they've generally done 3-hole, and that'll kind of help me to know to maybe division them down a little bit.
Okay.
Dave, for the
Yeah.
tournament itself, are we going to do alternate shots like before?
Yep, alternate shot. And also, if you guys have questions you think of later, you want to email me, or you don't feel comfortable asking them in a big forum, I'm fine with that too.
And the medical exemptions, we wouldn't, did you think about if they can drive? If they have a driver's license and stuff, could they drive their own cart? Or are we saying everybody has to walk to compete, kind of like the PGA?
Yep, that's basically what we're saying. Everyone has to walk to compete.
I know you're not going to make everybody happy with it, but I think hopefully we as coaches can, I still plan to have my skills practice, and just being able to promote, just because this is probably going to be one of the first competitions, maybe all of in Sona. I don't know. Have they had any other competitions in North America?
So they've done some virtual stuff, I know.
Yeah.
Things like that. But
So hopefully if we can be successful, we can get, make this successful and safe.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's going to open it up for other people. And so I just think we've always kind of been trailblazers to that aspect anyway, but we're always thinking about our athletes and how to make our athletes better. And I think this is just be a bit, if we can make this work, we got to try and do everything we can to make it work.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have a couple sports left we want to try throughout the year. As Nate alluded to, this is probably the safest one. You really distance. There's no reason to touch the flag, take the ball out of the cup without doing that. You can kind of stay apart. It's when we start moving on to what are we going to do with team sports later on, or what are we going to do when we get a bowling alley, because those bowling alleys can get a little packed. So
a little.
Yeah. How are we going to handle that? So we want to be cautious and kind of just dip our toe in the water here and get something going and just give some of our athletes at least a chance to get back out there.
Maybe you mentioned this before. So families coming to the competition, are they going to be able to walk the course if they stay away from? What's going to be the protocol there?
So generally, that would be, I believe it's 50 feet is what they stay behind the athletes.
Okay.
For NITs and anything like that. So that shouldn't be an issue with them getting close to our athletes.
Yep.
Again, it's not like a bowling alley. They can really space themselves out. There's no reason for them to be up there. And so I think that would be fine. What I worry about is in the beginning on the driving range, or if they're all just kind of gathering around. That's why when you're done, if you could just get out to your hole, that would be great.
Yep.
Really just keep people apart.
Yeah, that'll be important with the coaches to even just bring them up, partner and athlete, go up, hit a few, and then go, and just kind of don't let them all congregate like we normally do at the beginning of the meet. We're all up there.
Sure. So if we can get all that information out ahead of time and people have all their questions answered that week beforehand, just come and just head out. and we'll try and do the same thing with all our volunteers. We'll have staff there, so staff will be policing as much as possible, trying to keep people apart and getting them going as well.
Is this fun play, did you say, or is this, they're gonna have awards? I missed that one, I'm sorry.
We'll have awards. We're kind of talking about how we're going to hand them out. We think we're going to, once we've tallied the score, we'll have the awards on the table, and the athlete partner will just have to go to the table and pick up the award, so they're not around someone handing them to them.
Okay, and the rules could be written up because, they're not gonna have rakes, right? They're not gonna have rakes, they're gonna have holes, things like that.
You said rakes, like in the traps and stuff?
And the traps, the traps aren't raked.
Yeah.
So we've been, in everywhere where we play, we've been allowing people to roll the ball in the trap.
We just came from Mahoney, they don't have rakes. So, and bathrooms, I don't know, did they have bathrooms?
There was no bathroom.
So that's
the bathrooms on the course are closed right now, and people are not to rake the sand traps right now. If those things change by August 2nd, we'll just comply with whatever the course is.
Yeah. Our course is playing, like Diane said, our course is playing, if it goes in the sand, if it's in a foot trap or, where somebody has stepped, they're allowed to move the ball into a spot where it would be just a regular play where they wouldn't have to, because there were no rakes. We've got rakes in them now, but that's how we played before.
Right.
Yeah, the city golf website continues to keep things updated. So I think they updated that in June. And I know Phil says he's been golfing at the city courses and the bathrooms have been open. So even though they say they're not on the website.
Some of them don't. We've been out there. They don't have, some of them don't have bathrooms.
Yeah, we were just at Mahoney last week.
Yeah, in Lincoln, they don't have in Mahoney nor in Highland. We were just there.
Yep. So we're at Mahoney. I've been in talks with their pro, and he said right now that they don't have bathrooms out there, but we have kind of had some discussions that they could have some out there, and we might just have extra hand sanitizer outside the thing with those the big pumps and something like that, just to kind of give us some more places. Otherwise, they're gonna have to drive back to the
clubhouse.
So we're trying to avoid that as much as possible, which is another reason, we'd like to just try and get this controlled as much as possible and figure out how we're gonna handle that situation. But that's something we are working on with the pro out there.
Does anybody else have any questions for Dave or me?
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned you're not going to do 18 holes. It's only going to be 9, or there going to be some 3-hole events too then?
No. So the reason I can have the 3-hole event is because when I have 18, I stagger that start. So it gives me a little time for them to get out to holes 7, 8, and 9 where I normally do the 3. So if I'm doing these front and back, there's just no open holes for us to do the 3 holes. So we're only doing the level 2 9-hole alternate shot.
The one thing, and I've written down a couple of things in my mind. I'm thinking with 36 teams, and if there is a way that we can either like have a home base where you're recording scores like per hole or every 3 holes, that each there's a captain for each group and they text you scores when we get back, because what I'm thinking is, once we're all going to get done at the same time and everybody comes in. If you've got somebody that's tracking scores, and we use Golf Genius, but that's an app that people have to have. I'm trying to think of something simple like, all right, hey, so like if we're in my group, okay, Dave, I'm going to text you my scores for every 3 holes or something like that, and you guys can monitor that. And then as soon as that last hole is done, we shoot you texts, and people are coming in. So, you kind of like have a scoring center, and then that way the time back at the home base is going to be less. I mean, people can just come up or however they're going to do that.
Would the volunteers driving the carts be keeping the score and communicating it to you?
Yep. So we'll have the volunteers. Hey, Nick. We'll have the volunteers.
Hey, Nick.
That's a good idea, Corey. Because we had talked about there are a lot of different apps you can have for golf, but it's like you said, everyone has to have that.
Yeah.
Connected. So that's difficult, but that's not a bad idea. We can, maybe send out my phone and Nate's phone beforehand for front and back or something like that, and have people sending in the scores as we're going, just to, track it as we go. Because the other thing is when they come back, it's going to be the same thing like when they go out. We want to eliminate as many people around as possible. So if we can have those scores ready and tallied, send them over to Ward and still keep them spaced.
Yeah, if you can do even like something where, all right, you get the number for, like, say if I was in your group and you're kind of keeping track of the score, almost like at a golf course, where they're keeping the score as a running total. If you don't get one for a while, you could text me, hey, did you get the score? I'm waiting for your score. It could be somewhere they just forgot because they're playing and stuff like that. But it probably would be easier with the volunteers because they're not playing where, the athlete and partner are playing golf and they're concentrating on that part of the game. It's almost like having a standard bearer that they would have at a regular PGA event or just in any NGA event. There's a standard bearer that has their score, kind of keep going. So I was just I was thinking that might be the most convenient way to keep track. And then you just have like a scoring center. Yeah. And all right, here we just score every.
So I think, just thinking out loud, maybe the easiest way would be I'll take divisions M1 and M2. Nate would take divisions M3 and M4, and then he's only communicating with those 2, 3, 4 drivers.
Right.
2, 3, 4. Seth will take 3 or 4 drivers.
Yeah.
And we're constantly keeping up, and I don't have to worry about that small little group.
Yep.
And yeah, that would work.
And we'll figure out exactly what way that makes sense. But if we just know that our volunteers will be keeping score in, the 2 groups that are following, those volunteers on that hole, on their specific holes, if they just know that at the end of their round, they know to check their scores, then we'll make sure that, all those scores are accurate. But our volunteers will be checking or keeping the scores for them as the round goes on.
Yeah, that'd be, because then you can use that as part of your volunteer orientation part, or even training beforehand, potentially.
Yeah. That'll work.
Okay, well, if you guys do have questions that come up later, feel free to email us, call us. We're here to help. We're excited to be able to get back to playing golf. And if you're involved with your team doing other sports as well, and you want to talk about those sports, give me a call and we can talk about what that looks like. What you'll see over the next couple of weeks is we'll have a specific plan posted for precautions that are needed for each sport on the website that we are allowing practice. And then every event that we'll be looking at for the rest of the year, if we're having the event or we're doing a specific sport, we'll have a call just like this for those coaches to go over those precautions and those details, as well as when we get closer to the event. So we'll have another call, or like Dave said, maybe we'll record something that we'll send out, just depending on kind of what happens over the next few weeks and the questions that you all have. So we do encourage you to have your skills players practice with your teams, even though we're not having a skills competition at the event. And like Dave talked about, if you would like to have a skills event at a practice for your team, or if we have enough people that are doing it, we want a division statewide, we will do that, and we will provide awards because we do want those individuals to participate as well. And we hope you guys understand, why we're looking specifically at level 2 for the event. And we are also looking at a potential unified intramural event and partnering with Creighton University at some point this year that some of your golfers might have an opportunity to play in. That would be for golfers aged 18 to 30, which is the typical age we do for our unified collegiate intramurals. And we're also open, if there's interest at some point, depending on how the rest of the year goes and what sports we're able to offer, of having another golf event at some point if we felt like that was something that people wanted. So we're really going into the next several weeks and months with an open mind, and we're just trying to find ways to give people an opportunity to be active and to be together again. So we're always open to your ideas and your feedback.
That intramural event Nate was alluding to, that would be for just the athletes. So Special Olympics would provide the athletes, Creighton would provide the partner, It's a one-day tournament, and it's not division, so it's basically low score wins for the team. So there would be a little bit of cost involved. It would be between $15 and $25, depending on, I guess, how busy the course is going to be that weekend. So it's just basically pays for the rental of the golf cart and the fees. But still a pretty good price. Should be fun. And hopefully we can kind of get that to grow each year as well.
Yep. So the age was 18 to 30 years old?
18 to 30, correct.
Okay. And not older, okay.
That's typically what we do, Diane, for all of our collegiate intramurals. We partner with some colleges in doing unified sports, and we try to keep the age as close to the age of the students at the college that they're partnering with as we can.
Yeah, Nate, unfortunately, a lot of our athletes are a little bit older than that, but they act like they're only 18, so does that count?
Yep, yeah. Do they act? Yeah.
That's a good question, Dave. Yeah, I kind of probably act that way sometimes myself, but the good thing is that, you know, we have 19 sports. It's just hopeful that we can get back to them all sooner rather than later. But if there is interest in another golf event, I think Dave and I are open to that discussion. At some point, we just need to kind of ease back into this in stages and make sure that we're keeping people safe. So we really welcome your ideas, your input, your feedback. Let us know how things are going. Let us know what's working, what isn't working. If you need different information, more information, we want to try to provide that to you. Okay. I don't have anything else, Dave or Seth, if you do. Or
nope, I'm good.
Hey, pick up my son from basketball. They're doing the skills camp in Fremont.
Ooh.
So that was the first. I think that was one of the first skills camps that they offered in town for at least a sport. My son was driving me nuts, so had to burn
It's
some
good to
energy
have
out.
some diversions. That's why I'm thankful for golf this year. That's been the only thing that's kept my kids sane.
Yep. All right. Well, you guys have a good evening. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for all your work on this, guys.
Dave,
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for your time tonight, everyone.
Thanks for being on, guys.
Have a great 4th of
Bye,
July.
guys.
Thanks.
Too.
Bye.